Her mornings usually began with a quick coffee in hand, standing by the window, staring at the sunrise. She had grown accustomed to her routine. Working from home as a freelance graphic designer, her life revolved around projects, client meetings over Zoom, and balancing her time with her husband, with whom she shared a peaceful, loving relationship. At 32, she had established a life that was comfortable but predictable. Her long waist-length brown hair was something of a trademark. She had grown it out for years, rarely doing more than trimming the ends every few months. Her husband adored it, running his fingers through it when they cuddled on the couch. Friends often complimented it, and strangers sometimes asked if it was real. But lately she felt like it had started to weigh her down. Literally and metaphorically, she was ready for a change, even though she wasn't entirely sure what kind of change she wanted. My dear friends, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give this video a big thumbs up if you're enjoying the content. Your support means a lot and helps us keep creating more stories for you. Now let's get back to the story and see what happens next. One day, while sitting at her desk, distracted by her reflection on her laptop screen, she muttered, "I need a change." The thought lingered in her mind, and before she knew it, she had made an appointment at a nearby barbershop. It wasn't the usual salon she visited. This was an old-fashioned place she had passed by countless times. The idea of cutting off so much of her hair felt bold, maybe even rebellious. As she walked in, the sound of the bell over the door ringing made her second-guess herself. The barber, a man in his early 60s with a well-groomed mustache, looked up from his chair and gave her a nod. "So, what can I do for you?" he asked, dusting off his hands. She hesitated, looking around the place that smelled of aftershave and wood polish. It was a far cry from the brightly lit women's salons she was used to. I need a change," she said, her voice faltering slightly. "Cut it short." The barber raised an eyebrow.
Short?
"Well, you've got quite a bit to work with here," he remarked, glancing at the cascade of hair she nervously tucked behind her ears. "Are you sure?" Her heart raced. She wasn't sure, but she nodded anyway, feeling a strange mix of fear and excitement. "Yes, I think so, I don't know what style, though." The barber seemed to understand her hesitation. He combed through her hair thoughtfully, feeling its thickness, its weight. "Your hair is beautiful," he commented, his tone almost reluctant. "Seems ashamed to chop it all off. How about I start with a small trim, 2 or 3 inches, just to see how you feel?" She bit her lip. "Okay, that sounds safe," she admitted, half relieved, half disappointed. He set to work, and she watched as the first few inches of her hair fell to the floor. It wasn't the drastic change she had imagined, but when he was done, he stepped back and tilted his head, eyeing her reflection in the mirror. "How about some baby bangs for a change?" he suggested. Before she could fully process the idea, the scissors were already in his hands, snipping away at the front of her hair. When he was finished, she stared at herself. Her hair was still long, but the baby bangs framed her face in a way that felt different. "What do you think?" he asked, handing her a mirror to inspect the back. She ran her fingers through it, unsure how to feel. It wasn't the transformation she had envisioned, but it was something. "It's nice," she said, trying to convince herself. As she paid and left the shop, she couldn't shake the feeling that she had chickened out. Over the next few days, she kept touching her hair, looking at it in the mirror, wondering if she had missed her chance. The baby bangs, while cute, didn't feel like her. Her husband complimented the change, but she found herself staring at photos of short hairstyles on her phone late at night. A week passed, and she knew she still wanted more. This time she made an appointment at a women-only hair salon across town. It had a reputation for being more modern, more experimental. When she arrived, the atmosphere was completely different from the barbershop. The walls were bright, the stylist young and edgy, and there was a buzz of chatter in the air. "How can we help you today?" asked the stylist. A confident woman, who appeared to be in her 50s, with silver hair styled in a sleek bob. She had a calm yet commanding presence. "I want to cut my hair short," she said, her voice steady this time. "I'm thinking maybe a bob. I'm not really sure though." The stylist gave her a nod, motioning for her to sit. "Okay," she said, with no further questions, as she grabbed the clippers. Her heart skipped a beat. Clipper cuts weren't something she had considered before. She felt her breath hitch as the stylist turned on the buzzing machine. Without a word, she started from the back, shaving a clean line underneath her long hair, beginning what she later learned was an undercut bob. As the stylist worked, she stared at herself in the mirror, the long strands of hair dropping to the floor. The shock of seeing so much of it fall away was immediate. But there was also a strange sense of liberation. Her scalp tingled with the fresh air hitting it. "You know," the stylist said halfway through, "these baby bangs don't suit you. Let's fix that." And before she could react, the scissors were back in action, transforming the baby bangs into something much shorter. A pixie that framed her face with sharp, daring edges. At first, she was speechless. The reflection staring back at her was so different, so bold. But then slowly she smiled. The stylist stood back and crossed her arms, a satisfied look on her face. Her hair, once flowing down to her waist, was now transformed into a very short pixie cut. The back was neatly shaved in an undercut, revealing the soft curve of her neck, while the top was slightly longer, styled with soft textured layers that gave her a she modern look. The baby bangs that once awkwardly sat above her forehead were completely gone, replaced by a sleek fringe that swept slightly to one side, framing her face with sharp precision. The cut was edgy, but not too bad. Almost rebellious. Yet it suited her in a way that made her feel more alive than she had in years. She couldn't stop running her fingers through her hair, marveling at how light her head felt, how different she looked. It was as if she had shed a part of herself and stepped into something new. The stylist, a woman of few words, simply nodded in approval. "You wear it well," she said, handing her a mirror to see the back. "Thank you," she whispered, still in awe of the transformation. She stood up, paid for the cut, and left a generous tip. Feeling like the stylist had done more than just cut her hair, she had given her a fresh start. As she walked out of the salon and into the cool afternoon air, she felt a sense of freedom she hadn't expected. Her hand instinctively went up to touch the shaved nape, and a smile spread across her face. She had done it. She had finally let go of her long hair and embraced something new. The world felt different as she stepped outside. The breeze brushed against her exposed neck, a sensation she wasn't used to but welcomed with excitement. It was as if every step she took with her new haircut marked a shift in her perspective. People glanced at her as she walked by, not just because of the drastic change in her appearance, but because she radiated a newfound confidence. She didn't miss her long hair anymore. She felt lighter, freer. Once she got home, her husband's eyes widened when he saw her. His jaw practically dropped as he took in the sight of her short hair, which was now a sharp contrast to the flowing locks she had worn for so long. "Wow," he said, his voice filled with surprise. "I didn't think you'd go this short," she smiled, running her hand through the short layers. "Neither did I, but I love it." He stepped closer, gently touching the soft, shaved nape of her neck. "It suits you," he said with a grin. "You look amazing." The days that followed were filled with small moments of discovery. She had to adjust to her new routine. Washing and styling her hair took only minutes now, and she found herself experimenting with new outfits and makeup to match her bold new look. She felt more in control of her image than ever before. Her pixie cut became a signature part of her identity. Everywhere she went, people commented on how striking she looked, how the short hair emphasized her features, particularly her eyes and cheekbones. But it wasn't just about the external changes. With each passing day, she felt more empowered, more herself. The decision to cut her hair had been a step toward reclaiming something deeper, a sense of autonomy, of fearlessness. As the months passed, she let her pixie grow out slightly for the winter, keeping it at a long pixie length, just enough to cover her ears, but still short enough to maintain its modern, edgy vibe. The undercut remained, a constant reminder of the bold choice she had made. Her husband still adored running his fingers through the shorter strands, but now when she looked in the mirror, she saw a woman who wasn't afraid to take risks. Her long hair had once been her identity, a comfort, a shield. But now, her short hair represented her transformation, a change that wasn't just physical, but emotional. She had let go of the past and embraced a new chapter of her life, one where she felt more powerful, more confident, and more in control of her destiny than ever before. And with every glance in the mirror, she was reminded this was the real her.